Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News, and there's been so much happening here in the Valorant world. 100 Thieves making their intentions clear, coming for winning championships. DDK and SeanGares officially joining as general manager and head coach respectively. SeanGares describing how building the roster is now their top priority. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Loads of new support the last couple of days. Really appreciate it. Firstly, this from the guards. So they came up with all these kind of jigsaw pieces, teasing what their announcement is going to be today. Unfortunately, their announcement of kind of, well, whoever it's going to be, somewhat overshadowed by what 100 Thieves got up to last night. But yeah, plenty to discuss, because firstly, there was a patch update that came through, some kind of minor changes, but also Brimstone, a quite significant nerf to Brim's stim beacon, which of course it was, well, discussed a lot when this was added into the game, or at least, well, it was always there in the game, and now it gives you the movement buff and this type of stuff. So what they've done now is actually changed it to make it quite significantly worse. Well, the actual activity of the stim beacon is the same, but you no longer get 2, you can only have 1, and also it costs a fair bit more. So now charge is reduced from 2 down to 1, and cost is increased from 100 up to 200. So yeah, definitely not ideal. I think some people are kind of questioning, was this really warranted? Like, certainly some people did say, okay, it's too strong, maybe it's way too good, but I mean, so I don't know, I didn't think it was too bad, to be honest. Like, maybe this is reasonable, but still, I mean, I think as Vanity says, Brimstone nerfed already, but Sova and Jet aren't even touched as yet. So he's kind of wondering what's happening there. Sova and Jet, perfectly fine, but yeah, Brimstone, unlucky pal, you've got to get nerfed. So definitely some interesting decisions really being made here by the right guys, but yeah, I think a lot of people did, especially in the professional scene, they did call for this, because I feel like in the hands of the pros, the Brimstone stim beacon may just be slightly too strong, at least that some people were suggesting. So like, we'll see how this goes, maybe they'll revert it over time, but yeah, rest in peace that, well, the stimmy with the brimmy, or the brimmy with the stimmy, he still exists, but it's slightly less powerful than he was before. Let's discuss this then, because yesterday we talked about Wardell, where, well, 7 was subbing in for him in an official game for TSM. We were kind of wondering, like, Wardell said he was kind of, he'd woken up a bit late or whatever, and 7 was subbing in, but it seems kind of a strange change to make last minute. 7, of course, played very well within that roster in the game that they did indeed play, and I believe 7 even continued to play with them over the last day or so, and then Wardell kind of removed all the TSM stuff from his bio, his header, his name, all this type of stuff, and we were thinking, okay, like, is something actually happening here? Now, Bodor comes out yesterday and says, according to sources, Wardell has been removed from the active roster, and well, they're looking for a replacement, potentially 7 coming through, but at least as a recording, this is far from confirmed, because I mean, George Geddes, I believe, goes on to say later that 7 will continue to play with TSM tonight, according to sources. The situation regarding Wardell remains unclear. We'll be working on it to get the information out. And well, they go on to say as well, he goes on to say, like, I want to reiterate and clarify the wording of 7's participation. Every source has told me he's filling in, subbing in for Wardell, that's it. So, well, who knows what happens here? Now, Bodog went on to say, being informed that very different information now, take this with a grain of salt until confirmed, tweet end up being deleted. So, look, I don't really know what's going on here. Like, I kind of theorized yesterday, could this actually be the case? I don't really think it was the case, but still, it might be happening that Wardell's out of there, and T1, well, formerly 100 Thieves, formerly T1, now 7, could be into this roster. And even as Wardell says, well, 7 tweets out, good games to TLC, you can have your spot back now at Wardell, bring me back, he says. So maybe this is all bait after all, but still, there's nothing in Wardell's kind of Twitter header, bio, name, everything, like, he took all the TSM stuff out of there. But then again, if 7 really had come in and just taken his spot like this, like, overnight, like, would he really tweet something like this out, which kind of would be just rubbing salt in the wounds of Wardell, if this was the case? So, I don't know what's going on here, to be perfectly honest. It would be a strange and kind of surprising decision for TSM to make, but it might be something that's on the radar, because if it's getting reported by Bodog, then it's probably got maybe some credibility, even though the more up-to-date discussion is closer to, like, we don't really know, and probably it's not actually going to happen. So yeah, definitely intrigued to your thoughts on this one in the comment section below. We've got to talk about 100 Thieves though, because these guys are making moves. As soon as I saw this yesterday, I thought, okay, something is happening here. Credit to 100T, to be honest, they generally do a great job of keeping this stuff under wraps. Like, it didn't really get leaked ahead of time. We did hear the TDK to, like, 100 Thieves general manager stuff yesterday, but the other stuff we didn't actually hear as of yet. So yes, Jovi, he was their analyst. I believe he was their analyst before, then he became their head coach when Frost was gone, and well, they part ways with him. When I saw this, I was thinking, okay, they're doing something here, because it was kind of strange. I think it was relatively well liked within the kind of a community, and also within the team itself, but they decided they're actually going to make some big moves here. So welcome at general manager DDK and head coach SeanGares to 100 Thieves. So kind of incredible, like, Riot's loss in a sense, right? Because Riot decides they're not going to bring these guys on as casters, and then well, Sean and DDK, the duo remains now over at 100 Thieves. So I think this is fantastic, to be honest. It must be said, there's no guarantee this is actually going to work for them. Like, in the past when we've seen kind of casters become general managers, has that really worked out with a great track record? Not necessarily. In fairness though, I think that SeanGares is probably like the best head coach you could ask for. Just the way he perceives perceives the game, like the way he thinks about the game, his demeanor, the way he responds to players, this type of stuff seems fantastic. fantastic. And DDK, of course, they have a great relationship already. He seems very, very keen indeed to make sure that this team has the most winning environment that it can possibly have. So thought this is absolutely fantastic. Like 100 Thieves making their intentions very clear, because I'm sure that SeanGares was a target for other teams. Like we talked about the Guard, we talked about Sentinels, and pretty big loss on their end. I would say that SeanGares is not going to be their head coach, but he is now the head coach of 100 Thieves. They also bring in Mike's HD as their assistant coach, which I thought was also fantastic stuff, because he was part of Envy for a brief period of time and did some great work for them, but then there was some weird contract stuff that went down, and he ended up not being part of that roster any longer. But now he's going to be the assistant coach to the head coach of SeanGares on the Valorant team, with DDK as the general manager kind of making the overarching calls. So honestly thought this is a massive step in the direction of taking this team back to the top, and I wanted to share a couple of minutes of clips really from the announcement video they did, where DDK makes it very clear the intentions of both of them, like exactly what they're doing and bringing to the table, their intentions to win effectively at all costs, and also SeanGares saying that actually that one of the first steps here is to continue building the roster, because right now 2 of their players are here on loan. There's certainly a possibility this team makes more changes before the start of Challengers 2.
As the general manager of the Valorant program, I guess the buck stops with me. Really, it's like I will be responsible, and I should be the one that everyone is mad at. In terms of the GM role, it is up to me to make all of the calls in terms of the roster changes ultimately, but also my job is to make sure that Sean can do his job really well and to make sure all the players are happy. I need to make sure that every part of the process is optimized.
My role as the head coach is basically to be with the players day in, day out. What I'm gonna do is really focus on that I'm teaching these players in the right way. Players are gonna learn in ways they never thought was possible. They're gonna enjoy it. We're first gonna have to build the roster, right? Right now, JC, Sonny, and Bang are on temporary contracts. I think they're out on loan to the team. I personally think that regardless of the roster, we're gonna be a competitor in North America in this next Challenger series.
What I really intend to do is to make this a team that creates the definition of excellence within esports. But I have a singular focus, which is on winning. And with that will come a lot of things where I hope to set the standard. That's the way I'm thinking about this. I want to set the standard as to how to win and how to do competitive video games.
God damn, he said that way better than me. That's why he was the play-by-play caster. He said that. That sounded good.
When Sean came into the fold as a potential head coach, we felt like it just made more sense, since Sean and DDK have worked with each other before, to pair them together rather than have somebody like Wyatt, who probably doesn't have a relationship with Sean. It just made more sense. So listen, if there's any team that is looking for probably one of the smartest people I've talked to in the Valorant community, you need to go talk to Wyatt. Yeah, Plat Chat Wyatt. He's a good guy. I want to send him a message after we made the announcement, but I guess it's easier if everybody hears it. I really had a ton of respect for that, for his opinion on the game and his whole thought process about how to build a team. Really big fan of Wyatt, so I wish him all the best.
Isn't that your boy?
That other clip as well towards the end there, when Nadeshot talked about the fact that Wyatt was actually in consideration, Platchat Wyatt, for the GM position. And that, well, maybe if he has been in discussion with other teams, his time will come elsewhere. And that, well, who knows, the Guard, like, well, there's options there as well. So pretty cool stuff, I thought. But I mean, yeah, still, SeanGares making it kind of clear, building the roster is a priority for them. That right now they have 2 players on loan. There's no guarantee that the core of like Ethan, Asuna, and Hiko actually works. I'm sure that DDK is going to come in and SeanGares are going to come in. They're going to see how the team operates and decide, okay, is this actually going to work? Is this going to be a championship winning combination? Because 100 Thieves as an org have done it before. First Strike, for example, a couple of years ago now. If they don't feel like this team has what it takes to win it, then I'm sure they're going to make some moves, and DDK is not going to shy away from the possibility to do that. He has the responsibility to. He wants to make, like, he's made it clear, he wants to be kind of instilling this excellence. He wants to make moves that then like kind of go down and people look back on and saying, okay, wow, that was a fantastic move, took this team in the right direction. So I think probably changes are going to happen sooner rather than later with the addition of these 2, well, powerhouses, to be honest, at least within the Valorant community, as they have been the last few months. Let's talk, of course, about what this means for other organizations, because the Guard, we thought, okay, well, they've got a kind of a throne image. Pretty sure today is when they're going to announce who this kind of addition is going to be. But of course, well, the Guard is not going to be getting either SeanGares or Mike's HD with, of course, the addition that 100 Thieves have just made. This is that people put together the entirety of the jigsaw puzzle and you get something that looks like this. So yes, it's still, well, the guy in the photo here, yet to be determined, but still, I guess we'll find out sometime later today. Sentinels, of course, another team in discussion, because they okay, we thought maybe SeanGares is going to go there as the head coach. That's not going to happen either. So, well, now we're thinking, okay, well, Sentinels find themselves in a somewhat of a difficult position because 100 Thieves have taken arguably some of the talent away that Sentinels could have had to try and help rebuild this roster. To me, SeanGares would have been an ideal fit here for Sentinels, but 100 Thieves said, look, you're coming to us, and DDK was coming as well. So plenty of questions still up in the air what Sentinels are going to do. Is their roster going to remain? Like, do they need a new coach analyst, this type of stuff? But of course, well, the options have somewhat diminished with 100 Thieves coming in with the big money moves over the last 24 hours or so. Let's talk about this then just before we finish up the video. The first day of EMEA Playoffs went down last night, and well, it was at M3C, former, of course, Gambit, up against Guild here on the game one, and that's made some crazy plays early on here to actually, well, get them over the line. But yeah, it was a close series. Guild put up a fight, but pretty much as I predicted, a 2-0 in the end to Gambit. Wasn't convincing by any means, but it's still a solid victory from them. They will play in the very next round, an incredible matchup up against none other than Fnatic. ShahZaM has a phenomenal series right here. Like, it's surprising really, there's well, Chronicle, Nats, obviously Nats had a pretty decent time, but Chronicle usually the guy that's taking over, but ShahZaM on the stage was out of control. Game 1 Fracture goes 13-11, big comeback from M3C on their offensive side, as you might expect on this map, and then buying 13-6. Comfortable in the end for the M3 champions, Gambit of course. The other series that went down was none other than Liquid versus G2. I thought this one might go 2-1 in favour of Liquid. That's what happens. A great series, really close one. G2 will go down to the lower brackets, but yeah, Team Liquid get the job done. Like, well, a phenomenal round here actually. We'll just look at this real quick from Scream. Like, oh well, the headshot machine comes back in full force in a very critical round for these guys as well. They win that round, they end up winning the game at 2-1 to Team Liquid. Game 1 was split, it goes to the favour of Liquid 13-9, then it goes to Icebox 15-13 after a crazy overtime, and then Haven 13-8. They get the job done there. So yes, they move on in the tournament. They will play FPX in the lower side of the bracket. Nevera has a great series and sets up an absolutely stacked upper side of this bracket. This is how it looks. 2 games going on later on today, March 23rd. Fnatic versus Gambit this afternoon, and FPX versus Liquid as well. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button. Tell us the YouTube gods, this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well, and upgrade the competitive Valorant community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.